First of all, we're here to celebrate all mothers today. Mother's Day started in 1870 with Julia Ward Howe's first proclamation for Mother's Day. And her proclamation was more about peace in women than celebrating Mother's Day. And then in 1914, Anna Jarvis, or 1908, Anna Jarvis asked the government to proclaim a Mother's Day. And it finally was ratified in 1914. So we owe that to these women that we have a Mother's Day. We're celebrating all mothers, single fathers, grandparents raising their children, gay and lesbian couples raising their children, foster parents, adoptive parents, children in care facilities, all kinds of mothers today. The idea for my service today came from attending the Southwest Women's Conference in 2005. Some of you haven't attended a Southwest Women's Conference yet. You're in for a real treat. It was a life-changing event for me, so I really recommend you attend one. Anyway, I attended a workshop about goddesses, and it was just blown away. And I have to tell you the story of my goddess, Kuan Yin, that's on the chalice table. If you know my husband, Paul, I know some of you do, some of you don't, but he's been gone about 5 years. But one of our things we loved to do was go to the flea market on Saturday mornings and walk around. We didn't really buy a lot, but we just walked around and got some exercise and saw some people, and it was fun. So we were walking around one day, and I spied her on one of the booths and fell in love immediately. And, of course, he had wandered off 2 or 3 booths ahead of me looking at tools, always. And so I had bargained the lady down, but I was still $5 short in my wallet. So I had to go find him to get the $5, you know. And so he came back with me to the booth. He says, "What do you want to buy?" And I said, "I want to buy a statue." He says, "A statue?" And he says, so he came back to look at it. And he took one look at it, and he says, "You want to buy that?" But needless to say, he gave me the $5, and she's been my constant companion since. Her name is Kuan Yin. And you'll see on our display today, on our, what do you call them? Anyway, the screen, there are goddesses going to be cycled through, and there's just a number of different goddesses that throughout the world that I wanted you to see, that I had pictures of. When I originally did this service, I had women in the congregation dress up like goddesses, and then they told you each about what each goddess represented. But I couldn't coerce women quickly this time, so to do that. So they're up here. The goddess is a symbol of female strength and power. The goddess is a symbol of all that is beautiful in the female experience. The goddess is a symbol of women's force, fierce new love of the divine in ourselves. I need a drink of water. For some reason it adds dry throat. In patriarchal literature and psychology, the relationship between mothers and daughters is seldom considered or even mentioned. As Simone de Beauvoir, who was a French philosopher and feminist, who was born in 1908, has noted, the mother-daughter relationship is distorted in our male-defined culture because the mother, perhaps subconsciously, believes her role is to prepare her daughter to enter into that male-controlled culture in which women are viewed as inferior. The mother socializes her daughter to become subordinate to men. Thank goodness this is changing a great deal from when I was young and when this was written. The bond of women to women is beginning to be celebrated in the new women's culture. The modern young woman is encouraged to have a career of her own, and they also are waiting later to have their families. Sure, true in my family, both my daughters have a career outside the home. My granddaughters also have careers outside the home while raising their families. I don't know how they do it. I was a stay-at-home mother, and that was enough, so I admire these modern women. Women have no past, no history, no religion, Simone de Beauvoir noted in 1949. Today we know that women definitely have a rich past, an illustrious history, and a great variety of religious experience. We have been unaware of our female history because for the past 20 or more centuries, the major world religions have expressed primarily male experience and views of the world and have ignored or suppressed the female experience. Let me read that again. We have been unaware of our female history because for the past 20 or more centuries, the major world religions have expressed primarily male experience and views of the world and have ignored or suppressed the female experience. Women have been here all along, of course. And now that we have women historians, archaeologists, theologians, women's enormous contributions to human culture and religion are being recognized. Women within the traditions of Judaism and Christianity are discovering strong biblical women, pointing out biblical passages where the divine is imaged as female, and finding feminist attitudes in the teaching of Jesus. These women are now demanding that the love and justice proclaimed by these traditions be applied to the modern woman. Some women are looking to pre-patriarchal religions of the ancient world in their search for female roots. Before the advent of the major religions as we know them today, and even while these religions were being conceived, human beings practiced a variety of matriarchal religions around the world for many centuries. Joseph Campbell said in The Mask of God, "There can be no doubt that in the very earliest ages of human history, the magical force and wonder of the female was no less a marvel than the universe itself. This gave women a prodigious power, which the masculine part of the population have tried to break, control, and employ to their own ends. In fact, most remarkable is how many primitive hunting races have a legend of a still more primitive age than their own, in which the women were the sole possessors of the magical arts. Study of the primitive tribes over the last few centuries have brought us to the conclusion that some isolated people, even in our own century, did not possess the conscious understanding of sex to conception. How the infant came to be in the womb was undoubtedly a mystery to primitive man. The female was revered as the giver of life. Only women could produce their own kind, and man's part in the process was not yet recognized. The female figurines are the earliest examples of the graven image we possess, and were apparently the first objects of worship for the species Homo sapiens. These small female figurines made of stone and clay were often called Venus figures. I don't think I have a picture of one of these. They're very ample women, big breasts, big tummies, and no legs. And I'm sure you've seen a picture of them, very primitive. Many of these were called Venus figures. Many of these icons have been found in shrines, so it is certain they were objects of worship. Without exception, they lacked feet, for they were stuck in the ground upright. A few have been discovered in situ, so we can say that in the early Paleolithic period, just as in the much later age of the agricultural society of the Near East, the female body was experienced in its own character as a focus of divine force, and a system of rites was dedicated to the mystery of the female. Well, I hope I haven't bored you men too much here today. I hope at least to make you think of those women who have nurtured and supported you, those who have helped you become the great people you are today. Robert McNally said, "The goddess is central to my quest as a man. She functions as a mother of all, the one who takes me in when no one else will. She is the warm hug of the cosmos. In her black and terrible aspect as Kali, she reminds me of death, the reality I must embrace fully as life if I am to live fully. In her erotic aspect as Aphrodite, she is eminent in the flesh and my love and partner, reminding me that the woman I hold is goddess too." Great shrines and monuments have been erected for the worship of these female deities. The Parthenon was erected to hold a 40-foot golden statue of the goddess Athena. So what happened, you may ask? No one knows for sure, only that it was a gradual shift at the close of the Bronze Age, over a period of 1,000 to 3,000 years. The patriarchal deities battled the great goddess and all she represented. Early representations of the goddess often show her with a son or consort, always smaller and often protected by her. Later, the male god is depicted as larger than the female. In the early stages of patriarchy, when men were still in awe of the goddess, male and female deities often reigned together. But as time went by, the shrines of the goddesses were mutilated, her priestesses were dispersed, and her power was drained away. The male deities became more and more powerful, even taking over the creative functions of the female. So we have encountered the distortions of mythic symbols, such as the birth of Eve from Adam's rib in the Bible story of creation, and Athena from Zeus's head in Greek mythology. By 500 AD, when patriarchal Christianity held sway, the last of the goddess temples had been destroyed or converted to Christian holy places. From being human representatives of the divine creativity and procreativity, women became human representatives of evil, lust, and sin, such as Eve eating the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden. Today the spiral is shifting again. The goddess in all her power is making herself felt in the world and in our lives. We welcome her back We welcome her back in whatever form or name. She is the mother of us all. Now we're going to do a candle ceremony, but before that I want to do a special reading. But I'd like to tell you how this came about, the candle ceremony. Well, at this women's conference in 2005, a number of us attended a seminar called Cakes for the Queen. We have had this program here. Jackie Russell put it on for us a couple times, and it's well worth going and taking this course. And maybe it's about time we do it again. We have a lot of new members, and I think you enjoy this course. Anyway, it's called Cakes for the Queen. This was about a study of feminist theology that was first introduced to UU women in the 1970s. The opening ceremony of this workshop was so moving that I thought it would be perfect for us to do on Mother's Day. So now I'm going to do our reading, and then we'll do the candle ceremony. You center yourself. This is like a meditation for us. Gracious Mother, matrix of creation, womb of mystery, we thank you on this day for the miracle of birth. Mother Nature, Earth Mother, we lift our hearts in song for all forms of green and fragrant, glad with the hymns of resurrection and the rhythm of rebirth. Ancient Mother, Grandmother Spirit, we share your travail and feel the anguish of mothering, the hard work of those who labor, the pain of those who struggle with fertility, the wounds of those victimized by sex, the grief of women separated from their children. Healing Mother, midwife of change, enable us to partake of your promise, to bring forth the blade from the waiting soil, to bring community out of chaos, to turn tears into rejoicing. Through service to you, endless source of life, cradled in your arms, nourished by your goodness, enfolded within your beauty, great Goddess in whom we live and move. Blessed be.